We are SEAL Team 6, and this is our presentation of analysis of Oliver's Diner. I'm Jackson Hauk.
I'm Maurizio Cola.
I'm Chris Tracy.
And I'm Kai McIntyre.
So what we're going to talk about today in our preview of Oliver's Diner is a situation analysis, a SWOT analysis, a presentation of options, decision criteria, evaluations of options, and a recommendation and rationale.
Oliver Peter is the owner of Oliver's Diner, which is located in Grand Bend and opened in May of 2016. Mr. Peter is proud to say that he is a successful owner of a restaurant. He's always wanted to own a restaurant ever since he was younger. Currently, they're having a bit of issues inside their restaurant with angry customers and the wait time. As the diner is such a success, he has an issue of demand of overflowing customers in the diner, which is resulting in loyal customers being angry with the wait time for an available seat. The owner of the diner is Oliver Peter. He graduated from Fanshawe College with a Culinary of Arts Management degree. He's always had a long lifetime dream of owning a restaurant. In 2015, an opportunity arose where he was lucky enough to renovate a building and turn it into a 1960s themed diner. Currently, they have 10 employees. They have 1 host, 4 servers, 3 chefs, and 2 bussiers. And Oliver is also spending half his time in the kitchen and half his time on the floor managing the diner. Current strategy. So currently they separate themselves from their competition with their retro theme, 1960s themed diner. They offer a variety of very delicious comfort foods such as pasta, pizza, burgers, sandwiches, hot dogs, and their key item on the menu that separates themselves are their very different, unique styles of poutines. So currently, they don't have a specific mission statement, but Oliver does believe providing good customer service is a key component for long-term viability and success of the diner. So just providing the customers with continuous customer service and quality food is going to be a viable source of success for the years to come.
So one of the biggest success factors of Oliver's Diner is the location. Since the location is on Main Street in the Grand Bend area, there's a huge influx of customers, of 50,000 of vacationers, tourists, and cottagers in that area. And since that location on Main Street is proven to be a successful spot because there's other successful restaurants in the area, this location is huge for the future of the business. One thing Oliver has stated in his mission is to provide great quality customer service. And being connected with the customers, he's going to have better long-term success with his company. Another thing Oliver's Diner has is very different from other restaurants in the area, is that he crafts local beer and Ontario wines from the area with a unique style of poutine. The theme of their diner is 1960s theme, and that is also another successful part of the company. There are 2 different industries that Oliver's Diner is associated with, is the food and service industry and the beer and wine industry. They're associated with the beer and wine industry because they have a local craft and Ontario wines. There are other successful restaurants in the area, but the great location is the biggest thing against the competitors that can separate them from the rest. One thing that Oliver's Diner is missing, though, compared to other restaurants in the industry, is efficiency for seating consumers during the peak weekend hours, and the technology to page or connect with the customers to bring them in and lessen the wait time. So the main influx of consumers are the 50,000 cottagers, vacationers, and tourists that flood the Grand Bend area, as we stated, in the peak summer hours, especially on the weekend. Oliver had said this is a problem of his, and he would like to get this resolved. Partnering with local craft beer and Ontario wine in the market can separate themselves furthermore from the competition. With reasonable prices and drinks, Oliver's Diner can reach a bigger demographic, the youth and the old. They can reach all sorts of people, which can bring in future profit. The consumers have already complained about the extensive wait times for food and a table during the weekend hours, and Oliver's Diner has to adjust and access and change these issues to further the success of the company. The financial position of the company of Oliver acquired a $50,000 loan from the bank. It's self-ran. Most of the profit comes from his food and service industry, a little bit from the local craft beer and Ontario wine, because they are partnering with each other. But without the food and service industry, Oliver's Diner would not be profitable and have long-term success.
So some of the strengths within the diner are they have very reasonable prices compared to the other restaurants in the Grand Bend area. The retro theme is also like no other, which is something tourists really enjoy. They have great customer service, like it says in the mission statement. Oliver's big factor is customer service. And some weaknesses they have is the lack of employees and lack of space in order to meet their table needs. Some opportunities they have is the highly populated area on peak periods like weekends and stuff like that. They get a lot of business, and they're also near the big city of London, Ontario, which draws in a lot of tourists and therefore more customers. And some threats they have are the angry customers, which will lead to bad reviews, which means a lot of people won't want to come. There's a lot of food places in Grand Bend as well, which means a lot of competitors, and there's also a high demand for tables.
For the presentation options, most of the issues that the diner experiences come from the long wait times with customers piling up outside the restaurant waiting to get inside, as well as the staff who are being overwhelmed and stressed out beyond on the weekends. So when creating our options, we wanted to focus on the efficiency of the flow of the diner to make sure everyone was happy by the end of it. For our first option, we proposed that we install pagers and a display board. So we would start with purchasing 30 pagers and have a range of 2 miles, which is key as customers may walk about Grand Bend, visit all the other retail establishments, and wait until their table is ready. And second, the display board would either be outside the restaurant or just inside the front entrance. This would allow customers to get a peek at the menu before they're allowed in the restaurant. This would create the opportunity for them to be able to be ready to order as soon as they're sat down. A big pro would be, with the two complement each other, it should eliminate the daunting line that seems to form during the peak meal times.
So some of the pros we saw are guests can see the options on the display board, so they can think about what they want for food before they even sit down. This will lead to quicker table times, and therefore more tables throughout the day. And with the pagers, people can tour around the Grand Bend area and keep themselves entertained while they're in that long line. Some cons we saw were the possibility of the technological failure, because a lot of technology could fail due to the Wi-Fi or connecting, stuff like that. And display board, because there are a lot of food options in Oliver's Diner, it could get crowded, and therefore people with sight impairments may have trouble seeing.
The second option was to revise the reservation policy. Previously, Oliver did not want to have reservations. He thought that it would cut down business during less busier times of the week. By offering customers the opportunity to book a reservation, it would allow customers to book days and even weeks ahead of time. By having a block of time section off just for reservations during busy times, this may cut down the overwhelming wrath of the waiting customers. So by having the block set out, maybe we would either just have it during one part of the peak meal time or the whole peak as a whole.
So some pros, a lot of people knowing there are reservations in the restaurant draws them in because they know they won't have to wait in a long line and can just get their food as soon as they get there. And for the waiters and waitresses, it will also allow for strategic table planning in order to maximize tables throughout the day. And some cons, with too many reservations, there could be controversy among customers not being able to get in, not being able to eat. And too many reservations could cause the restaurant to run out of food, as they may not be expecting as many people with all of the reservations coming in.
Third option that was created was to increase the staff. The first part of that was to hire part-time workers that could help on the weekends, which are the busiest days of the week for the diner. The second part, or the second option, was to hire full-time employees that would give the regular employees a chance to take a breather throughout the week and get ready for the weekend again.
So some pros we saw, with more staff, they'd be able to attend more tables and make table times go quicker. The weekends would be a little less chaotic with more staff. The other staff would be less overwhelmed on the busy days, such as weekends. And it would also lead to better customer service, as more staff would lead to different personalities and different customer service. And some cons would be paying for the wage expenses, and cutting hours from the existing staff, which could cause controversy amongst themselves. And because the wage expenses can be very expensive, it might increase the already reasonable food prices at Oliver's Diner.
The fourth option that was created was to change the layout and the type of seating that the diner has. This may take away from the 1960s theme, but the idea is to rip out the current seating and replace it with either upholstered or wooden bench style seating. This would give,
Yeah, so some pros, more people could fit in these benches as opposed to the regular chairs. There'd be more leg room, which could lead to more customer comfort. It'd be better for bigger groups that come in because they can fit a lot more space, and for those big reservations when the tourists come in. And some cons, it would take up a lot more space as well with the benches, and especially if they use wood, it could be a lot less comfortable for the people.
fifth option was status quo. This means that no new changes would be made to the diner. And the belief would be that all issues and problems relating to long wait times, stressful staff, and all the other issues would just work themselves out over time.
So some pros of this, Oliver's Diner is already very successful, and they also have a high demand in tables, as they've heard great things about the diner. Some cons, they're unable to meet these demands because of the understaff, and they don't have enough room in their diner. There's long wait times, so customers are getting pretty angry. They're understaffed for those busy periods like weekends. And it's also not good for the future projection, as Oliver's Diner is expected to be busier than ever. So we looked at 5 different decision criteria when choosing our option. The first one was utilization. So utilization is making sure you get the most out of your option. We measured this on a scale of 1 to 10 based on the charts that will be shown later. And any option with a score of 6 or higher will be further evaluated.
The second option we chose was customer satisfaction. It's ensuring that the customers that want to come back. A big priority for Oliver was customer satisfaction and the relationship with the customers. And we scaled it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. If they had a score of 7 or higher, then they would be okay for the future of the company. The third one we chose was the cost. Many companies try to invest in cheaper options, but as stated, Oliver's Diner is at a reasonable price, but adjusting some of the prices could help the company. And the unit, we did total project cost, and the passing score would have been anything with the 3 lowest costs would have been cut down from our evaluation.
Our third one is staff satisfaction. So ensure that you have people there wanting to show up to the job, wanting to work for Oliver's Diner. We scaled that on also 1 to 10 and 7. Any grade higher than 7 will be a successful pass. Our last option is time management. Key is ensuring maximum amount of tables when the store hours are open. And we also scale this on a 1 to 10, 7 being higher or higher being a passing grade.
So here we have the evaluation matrix of all the options. Up here on the top row, we have all the options listed, the decision criteria going down the side, and the data we created. So for option 1, customer satisfaction was about an 8. Staff satisfaction was around an 8 as well, and total cost was around $4,835. This was one of the lower costs, as it is being considered further. Option 2 was to revise the reservation policy. They scored a little bit lower than option 1, with around $300 a month. This could become costly over time, as it is not a one-cost deal. It will be paid over until the diner closes, essentially. Option 3 was to increase the staff. Scored very well in staff satisfaction, as they would get more time to rest, more time, maybe more days off, vacation, etc. And this would cost about $31,200 per employee. That is the average rate in Canada for a diner employee. Fourth option, change layout seating. This scored also very well with staff satisfaction, as it would give a new vibe to the restaurant, and also with the customers, and they'd be excited to see the inside. One of the downfalls of this, though, that was not mentioned in the previous options, was that the diner would have to close for renovations for a period of time, taking away business from the diner. This would cost about $17,000, as one booth costs approximately $350. As status quo means doing nothing towards the diner, not a very good option. Current utilization of the diner we have noticed some bottlenecks here down with the seating and the different time periods. And bottlenecks, for anyone who doesn't know, means that this area of the diner is being overutilized. Capacity has been overreached. And up here, we have the host/cashiers. Over the average, the different time periods, they're also being worked pretty hard, so their satisfaction is not essential right now.
So our recommendation is to bring in the pagers and the display board, especially where the pagers can keep the customers entertained, and it will also allow for more table organization amongst the waiters and waitresses. And the display board will also allow people to review their options, which will lead to quicker table times and therefore maximize the amount of tables per day.
So, as we chose option 1, we projected the new utilization of Oliver's Diner. As you can see, with the pagers, it has increasingly helped the utilization of the seating. It is down way past the bottleneck mark, and everyone seems to be happy. As well as the hosts and cashiers, they are also way down as well, nowhere near where they were before. And for the implementation plan, here we have our Gantt chart coming up next. So the first thing we were going to do was order the 30 pagers. This would take about standard 7 days for business shipping. Then we then hire the contractor to build the display board. This would take about, give or take, 5 days. We would then buy the supplies while we're waiting for the contractor to come in. This would take one day. We would set up the pagers as they come in, get contracted in after hours. So this would not hurt the diner's business at all, as the diner would be closed, he'd have the time to work all by himself. So the Gantt chart basically just it's a visual representation of the implementation plan. So on the left side here, these are the tasks and the dates that they will be carried out. So here's the first one, we order the pagers. Second one, we hire the contractor, the supplies, the pagers, and then essentially finished in around 2.5 weeks. Thank you very much. This is SEAL Team 6, and this is our analysis of Oliver's Diner.
Thanks for listening.